Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a topic I think everyone's always interested in, finding happiness, especially in our everyday lives. You guys sent in tons of sources,
What?
and we chose the ebook, Begin Your Day with a Smile. I'm really curious to see what we can extract from this, and maybe some surprising things too. Our mission here is not to give you more things to worry about or add more stress, but more like actionable things that you can kind of weave into your day to give you a little boost in your well-being, right?
Totally, yeah. So this ebook aims to shine a light on the simple things, those little joys that we tend to overlook, and offers guidance on various aspects of our lives that can really influence our overall happiness. It's important to remember this is presented as a guide, and like any guide, we approach it with an open mind. And just looking at the topics it covers, I mean, it goes from money to mindset to the food we eat, even our hormones. It really shows you that happiness is this really multifaceted thing.
Yeah, and I have to admit, something caught my eye right away, right in the intro. It talks about how we tend to chase these big milestones for happiness, big promotions, holidays, that new car. But it makes you wonder, what if the real consistent joy, the real deal, comes from those small, readily available pleasures? Like, think about that smell of fresh cut grass on a summer morning. It's just a tiny thing, it's free, but it can totally lift your mood. Or just exchanging a smile with someone you don't even know. It suggests these little moments that we have every day might actually have a bigger impact than we think.
It's like it turns everything upside down, doesn't it? We're kind of programmed to think, okay, I'll be happy when I reach this goal or buy that thing. But this is saying, no, it's not about getting somewhere. It's about noticing and appreciating what's already around you, the good stuff that's already there.
All right, so let's get into it. Chapter 1 tackles a biggie: money. That age-old question, money can't buy happiness. True or false? According to Begin Your Day with a Smile.
Well, it doesn't just give a simple yes or no, which is good. It's nuanced. It doesn't deny money plays a role, but it gives us a different way to look at it. Like, it acknowledges that if you have enough to cover your basic needs, and your family's too, that does link to more happiness, especially if you struggled financially in the past. That feeling of security, knowing your family is taken care of, that's huge.
I totally get that. When you don't have to constantly stress about bills, it's like your mind is freed up for more positive stuff.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. It says that once you reach a certain point where you and your family are comfortable, getting even more money doesn't necessarily mean you'll be proportionally happier. It's not like a straight line upwards, it levels off. It even talks about how managing wealth, whether it's a little or a lot, can bring its own stresses.
Right. The ebook even mentions things like the pressure to make good financial decisions, worrying about people taking advantage of you. It's like a whole different set of worries.
Yeah, so then the focus kind of shifts from just trying to get more money to how we use what we already have. The ebook makes a big point that how you spend your money matters way more for your happiness than how much you've got in the bank.
And that kind of leads us to the whole experiences versus possessions thing, right? You hear that a lot these days. What's the ebook's take?
Oh, it's all for spending on experiences.
Hmm.
Travel, trying new things, doing fun stuff with people you love, things that create memories that stick with you. The reason is, with material things, you get used to them. You get that new phone and you're super excited, but after a while, it's just your phone. But experiences, they become part of your story, and they keep giving you joy when you think back on them.
And then there's giving, which we might not think of as spending, but it can really make you happy. The ebook calls it a type of spending that has these long-lasting benefits for you personally.
And that makes sense, right? It's kind of in our nature to want to help others and make a difference. And when we give to charity or help someone out, it feeds that part of us. So it's a win-win. You feel good by doing good.
So to wrap up the money part, it sounds like begin your day with a smile is saying, sure, money helps reduce stress, but just chasing more isn't the answer. It's more about being mindful of what you spend it on, especially on experiences and giving.
Absolutely. Think of money as a tool to create experiences, build relationships, things like that. That's where the real happiness boost comes from.
Okay, on to chapter 2, which is called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. We all know we should do that, but how? What are some strategies the ebook offers to actually master this?
Basically, the main idea is that letting little things get to you creates so much unnecessary negativity, and it can even affect your health. So the book is all about trying to reframe those little annoyances, trying to see them differently.
One of the techniques it talks about is stepping back and looking at the big picture. Like, will this small thing actually matter in the grand scheme of things? He uses a funny example, like spilling cake batter right before guests arrive.
Yeah.
It makes you ask, okay, is this really a big deal compared to everything else going on in my life?
Yeah, it's about putting things in perspective. Like, how important is this little thing really compared to my relationships, my health, the world around me? Don't let these tiny bumps in the road ruin your whole day.
And it also reminds us that everyone makes mistakes. It's a part of being human. One mistake doesn't mean your whole day is a write-off.
And that's so important for being kind to yourself. We all mess up sometimes. The advice is own it, learn from it if you can, but then move on. Don't dwell on it.
Yeah, then talks about forgiveness, not just forgiving others, but also forgiving ourselves, which is often harder, I think.
What's interesting is it talks about how we treat ourselves differently than we treat others. Like if someone cuts you off in traffic, maybe you can try to understand why, maybe they're having a bad day. We've all been there. But when we make a mistake, we're often so much harder on ourselves.
It's true, we can be our own worst critics sometimes.
The book says we should try to be as understanding and forgiving to ourselves as we would be to a friend who made the same mistake. And if the negative self-talk just won't stop, it even suggests talking to a professional about it.
Then there's this great little tool it gives you. It's called the 10-year test. Basically, when something happens that bothers you, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? Like that guy who gave you the finger in traffic, will you even remember it in 10 years? Probably not.
It helps you filter out what's really worth getting upset over. If it's not going to matter down the line, why waste your energy on it now? Save your energy for the stuff that matters.
So, in a nutshell, this chapter is saying we have a choice. We can react to every little annoyance, or we can choose to let it go. And choosing to let go over and over can seriously boost your happiness.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your reactions and not letting the little stuff dictate your mood.
Okay, chapter 3 is a little more introspective. It asks the big question, how happy are you? It makes you think of happiness not just as a feeling you get sometimes, but as an ongoing state, something you can actually evaluate.
I like that it gives you this happiness gauge to work with. Life has ups and downs, right? But these questions help you step back and figure out your overall happiness level.
The first question is super simple, but it gets right to the point. Do I wake up excited about the day? Like, do you feel anticipation or dread when you wake up? Seems pretty basic, but tells you a lot.
Definitely. If you're starting the day with energy and excitement for what's coming, that says a lot about how you're feeling deep down. But if it's always anxiety or reluctance, that might be a sign to dig a little deeper, figure out why.
Then it asks about your main occupation, your job or your studies or whatever takes up most of your time. Do you actually look forward to it? The ebook gets that sometimes work is just work, but it also says we have some choice in where we spend our time and energy.
Which makes a huge difference, right? I mean, everyone wants to feel like their work has some meaning, or at least isn't totally soul-crushing. We might not always have the dream job, but even choosing a good work environment or finding activities we enjoy outside of work can help a lot.
Then it asks about your relationships.
Yeah.
Do I enjoy the people I spend most of my time with? It's like it's saying the people around us have a big influence, for better or worse.
Totally. It's all about surrounding yourself with good people, people who lift you up and support you. If you're always around negative or discouraging people, well, that's going to affect you. It's about making sure your social circle is a positive one.
Then comes the big one. Do I like who I am? Self-acceptance, that's the foundation for happiness, according to this ebook.
It really is. You have to be okay with yourself, imperfections and all. If you're not, well, the ebook says figure out why. Maybe there are things you can change, but at the end of the day, you have to choose to love yourself, flaws and all.
Next, it looks ahead. Do I dread or look forward to my future? Having some hope and optimism about the future, that's got to be crucial for feeling happy in general.
Even when things are uncertain, that feeling that things will be okay, that you can handle what comes, that's so important. The ebook suggests setting small goals that you can actually achieve, just to build up that feeling of confidence. And if anxiety about the future is really taking over, don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Finally, it asks, do I know my life purpose? Basically, knowing what your unique contribution to the world is, that can boost your self-esteem and make you happier overall.
And that's so inspiring, right? Everyone has something special to offer. Finding that purpose, no matter how big or small, can give you such a sense of fulfillment. And the ebook suggests there are lots of resources out there to help you figure that out too.
So this chapter is all about being really honest with yourself, using these questions to understand what makes you happy, what brings you down.
Exactly. It's about being self-aware, checking in with yourself and using that knowledge to build a happier life.
Okay, let's move on to a really interesting topic. the connection between food and happiness. Chapter 4 is all about that.
This is one of those things we don't always think about, but it's huge. The ebook is basically saying food isn't just fuel, it directly affects how you feel, mentally and emotionally. It can make you feel good, or it can do the opposite.
It starts with foods to boost happiness, and it mentions healthy fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids, which you can find in things like walnuts, pumpkin seeds, fish oil. Apparently, those are really important for brain function, and there's even research that suggests they could help with depression.
And it makes sense biologically. Those healthy fats are a big part of how brain cells communicate with each other, which is how we regulate our mood, right? It also talks about berries, which have anthocyanins, vitamin C-rich foods like oranges and peppers, which help fight stress, leafy greens because of the folic acid, even dark chocolate, a little bit, for a mood lift. Oh, and of course it says drink plenty of water, which helps with everything.
And then, of course, there's the other side of the coin. Foods that steal your joy, which, no surprise, includes things like sugar, which can mess with your energy levels and has been linked to depression, coffee, because it can make anxiety worse, wheat, which might interfere with serotonin production, and alcohol, which can make you moody even though you might feel good at first.
It's all about balance and being aware of how different foods affect you. Some things can really throw your body off balance, and the ebook gives you a good rundown of what to watch out for.
It even suggests some specific supplements that could help, like vitamin C to reduce cortisol, which is the stress hormone, folic acid because it's linked to mood, omega-3s and vitamin B12 for a natural mood boost, and a few others to help with cravings.
It's a well-rounded approach. It recognizes that sometimes just changing your diet isn't enough, and a little extra help from supplements might be beneficial. But of course, always talk to your doctor before you start taking anything new.
The bottom line for this chapter seems to be that we can really use food to our advantage to combat negative feelings and create more happiness from the inside out.
Yeah, it's about being more mindful of what you eat, knowing that it can really impact your mood, and making choices that support both your physical and mental health.
Our chapter 5 introduces something I find really interesting. It's called 7 Mantras to Increase Your Happiness. So it's about using positive affirmations to shape your emotional state.
This gets into the power of your thoughts, the things you tell yourself. The ebook's point is that if you repeat these mantras over and over, you start to believe them, and that can make a real difference.
The first one is simple, I am amazing, which is meant to combat those negative thoughts we all have about ourselves and remind you that you're unique and valuable.
It's like a direct antidote to self-criticism. It's a reminder that you are worthy, just as you are.
Then there's I am grateful, which taps into the whole gratitude thing, focusing on what you have instead of what you lack.
And gratitude is a happiness superpower, right? It shifts your perspective and can actually attract more good things into your life. The book calls it a virtuous cycle. Good attracts good.
The third mantra is I love myself at all times, which is about accepting yourself unconditionally, even when you mess up or feel disappointed.
It's about that deep self-love, that unwavering belief in yourself, even when you're not perfect. It's a reminder that your worth isn't tied to your achievements or mistakes.
I am a magnet to good things. That's the fourth one. And it's all about expecting positive outcomes, which can actually make them more likely to happen.
It's like that saying, whether you think you can and you think you can't, you're right. When you believe good things will happen, you act in ways that make them more likely to happen. You're more confident, more open to opportunities.
The fifth mantra focuses on your relationships. I attract healthy people into my life. It's a reminder to choose your friends wisely and avoid people who bring you down.
Our relationships have such a huge impact on us. You want to be around people who support you, who you can be yourself around. This mantra helps you weed out the negativity and make space for the good stuff.
Mantra number 6 is, I can do anything I set my mind to. So it's about self-belief, that confidence that you can achieve your goals.
It's empowering, right? It gives you that can-do attitude, which makes you more likely to take on challenges and push yourself. And that feeling of accomplishment, that's a happiness booster for sure.
And finally, I have a purpose.
Mm.
It's about feeling like your life has meaning, that you're contributing something to the world.
It goes beyond just achievements or material things. It's about finding that thing that makes you feel like you're making a difference, that you're living a life that matters.
So this whole chapter is really about using the power of your own thoughts to shift your mindset to a more positive place, which can then lead to more happiness in your life.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your inner dialogue and making it work for you, not against you.
Chapter 6 takes a look at personality and how it relates to happiness. It acknowledges that some people just seem to be naturally happier than others, and it explores how different personality traits might play a role.
And what's interesting is it doesn't just say, whoa, you're stuck with your personality, tough luck. It says that while certain traits might make you more prone to happiness or unhappiness, you can work with what you've got.
It starts by talking about perfectionism. It says that striving for perfection can be a good thing, but it can also get in the way of happiness if you're always focused on the next goal and not enjoying the process.
It's like you reach one goal and you're already thinking about the next one, never really taking the time to savor the accomplishment. The ebook is all about finding joy in the journey, not just the destination.
Then it talks about dreaming, which sounds pretty positive. It says that people who are dreamers tend to be happier because they're always looking forward to something, even if they sometimes procrastinate a bit.
It's about having those aspirations, that sense of possibility. It's contagious, too, you know? Being around people who are excited about their dreams can rub off on you. The ebook encourages us to tap into that, to spend time imagining and getting excited about the things we want.
Then it talks about organization. It says you need a balance because being too organized can make you miss out on spontaneous fun, but not being organized enough can create stress and chaos.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you have enough structure to feel in control, but not so much that you feel stifled. Being too rigid can keep you from enjoying those unexpected moments that can bring so much joy.
Positivity, of course, is a big one. The ebook says that positive people tend to be happier, but it also says that you can work on becoming more positive, even if it doesn't come naturally.
It's like a muscle you can strengthen. You can make a conscious effort to look for the good in things, to focus on solutions instead of problems. And that can actually change the way your brain works over time, making you more naturally optimistic.
And finally, it talks about living in the moment, which ties into what we talked about earlier. It says that both introverts and extroverts can choose to be present, and that when you're fully engaged in what you're doing, you're happier and you have fewer regrets later on.
This is something we'll explore more in the next chapter, but it's about really being present in your life, not letting your mind wander to the past or worry about the future.
The bottom line for this chapter is that while our personality might have a lot to do with how happy we are, we're not prisoners to it. We can learn from different personality types and use that knowledge to build a life that makes us happy.
It's about self-awareness and using your strengths to your advantage. And even if some traits aren't naturally conducive to happiness, you can work on them, you know? You're not stuck.
Chapter 7 really digs into that living in the moment idea. It's called Why Living in the Moment Makes You Happier, and it breaks down why dwelling on the past and worrying about the future can be so detrimental.
It really hammers home the point that the present moment is all we have. The past is gone, and the future isn't here yet, so why waste your energy on things you can't control?
It starts with the past. It says it's pointless to keep rehashing things that have already happened, things you can't change. It encourages you to learn from your mistakes, sure, but then to focus on making the most of the now.
Right. It's like, what's done is done. You can't go back and change it, so why torture yourself with regrets? The only thing you have power over is this moment, right now.
And then it tackles the future. It says that worrying about what might happen is a waste of time because the future is always uncertain. The key is to be present in this moment and make the best decisions you can based on what you know now.
It's about taking action instead of just stewing in anxiety. You can make plans, sure, but don't let them take over your life.
The ebook also points out that when you're caught up in the past or worrying about the future, you're missing out on fully experiencing the present moment. It's like you're sabotaging your own happiness by not being present for the good stuff that's happening right now.
And you can miss out on so much. When you're fully present, you can really appreciate your experiences, your relationships, the beauty around you. You're not letting your thoughts drag you away from it all.
It also brings in gratitude, encouraging you to be thankful for the things you have now, the people in your life, the opportunities you have. The ebook says that cherishing these moments not only makes you happier now, but also creates good memories for the future.
It's like you're building up a storehouse of happy memories that you can draw on later, and you avoid those regrets. Like, I wish I had appreciated that more when I had it.
It acknowledges that some future planning is necessary, but it says, don't let it take over your life. It's all about finding a balance, so you can be responsible without letting worry and anxiety rule the roost.
It's about finding that middle ground where you're aware of the future but not consumed by it.
The big message of this chapter seems to be that if you want to be truly happy, you have to make a conscious choice to live in the now. Stop longing for the past or worrying about the future and just enjoy this moment.
Exactly. The present moment is all we have. It's where life is happening.
Okay, last chapter, chapter 8, hormones and happiness. This is a fascinating one because it dives into the biological side of things, how those chemical messengers in our body can have a huge impact on how happy we feel.
Yeah, this one really highlights the mind-body connection. It explains that hormones are like these little messengers that control so many things in our body, and our lifestyle choices can actually affect how they work.
It talks about three key hormones that are linked to happiness.
Yeah.
Serotonin, which is important for mood and preventing depression. Oxytocin, which is sometimes called the love hormone because it's involved in social bonding and reducing anxiety. And dopamine, which is released when we experience something positive or unexpected.
And it's not just random, these hormones have very specific roles. Serotonin helps us feel calm and content, oxytocin makes us feel connected and loved, and dopamine gives us that feeling of pleasure and reward.
The ebook then gives some tips on how to keep your hormones balanced naturally, like getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, minimizing exposure to toxins, managing stress, and even thinking about alternatives to birth control pills.
All those things, they can really mess with your hormones if you're not careful. And balanced hormones, that's the key to feeling good mentally and emotionally.
And of course, it talks about food again. It lists some specific foods and nutrients that can help balance your hormones, like healthy fats, vitamin D, magnesium, enough protein, and lots of veggies.
It's all connected, right? What you eat can actually impact your hormone levels, which then affects your mood. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
So the takeaway from this chapter is that if you want to be happy, you got to take care of your hormones. And that means making healthy choices, both in terms of your lifestyle and what you put in your body.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that your mental and physical health are totally intertwined and that you have the power to influence both through the choices you make.
Well, that was a lot of information. We really went deep into begin your day with a smile. We talked about everything from appreciating the little things to understanding how our hormones affect our happiness. For me, some of the biggest takeaways were realizing that more money doesn't necessarily equal more happiness, that learning to let go of the small stuff can be so freeing, and that checking in with yourself regularly, using those self-reflection questions, can really help you stay on track. Oh, and the fact that our food choices and our hormones play such a huge role in how we feel, that was a big one for me too. And who knew that repeating those positive mantras could actually make a difference?
What I really appreciate about this ebook is that it's full of practical advice. It's not about some unrealistic ideal of being happy all the time. It's about making small changes that can have a big impact. It's about taking control of your happiness instead of just hoping for the best.
And with that, we'll leave you with this. As you go about your day, think about one small thing that brings you joy, something you might be overlooking. Maybe it's that first sip of coffee in the morning, or the feeling of the sun on your face. And what's one tiny step, inspired by everything we talked about, that you can take today to bring yourself a little bit closer to that happy place? Sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest difference. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.